Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last recording as I was sick. So I'm going to get right to it. I was able to get into the Division Beta. This was possible because I won a key from one of my Twitch friends known as Ajax. So I have a lot to say about the Division Beta. First and foremost, I think most quote-unquote betas now are nothing more than previews. There wasn't really that much to beta in the Division. It kind of reminds me of when I did the beta for Star Wars Battlefront. There wasn't really much to beta there either. So that's why I'm thinking most quote-unquote betas are now just nothing more than previews. As for the Division itself, I will start with the positives and then I will go to the negatives. So the positive thing is the graphics and stability of the Division beta. I only ran into one bug in my entire playthrough of the Division beta. That bug was my guns not firing. I had to fix that by completely quitting the game and then coming back. So I ended up missing in an encounter because of that. It was very minor and very annoying, but it was pretty easily fixed. The graphics were really great, given the fact that I do not have a top-notch video card. I only have a Sapphire Tri-X 290X. It's still a very good card for $200, but it's not going to be able to run graphics at max like most others when I'm streaming and things of that nature. Now I'll move on to the negatives. The negatives for me was lack of class distinction, lack of variety in firearms, skills, and talents. What I mean by class distinction is there wasn't really a difference in agents. You were just a medical, tech, or security agent, right? There wasn't anything like heavy armor or things of that nature to set them apart. Everybody had the same armor with virtually the same stats, assuming that they bought those particular stats when they went to the merchant. I was expecting to see some sort of distinction. I was thinking the security agents would get a perk to allow them to wear a helmet and heavy armor. They get a riot shield, so I don't see why they wouldn't. Virtually every law enforcement department that I've seen has heavy armor and riot shield people. If they have a riot shield, they're definitely going to have heavy armor because they need to breach doors. So that part does not make sense to me. There was a lack of variety in guns, and actually one of them was worded incorrectly. I'm referring to the SCAR. The SCAR in the Division Beta was considered a designated marksman rifle according to the time that I was playing it. The SCAR, by definition, is an assault rifle, not a designated marksman rifle. There is a version of the SCAR that is heavily modified, specifically to be a designated marksman rifle. That one's known as the SSR, Sniper Support Rifle. Now, I know it's pretty minor, but I just feel that if you're going to make a story about a super special division with all this equipment and military power behind them, then at least get the things right. You know, quote the weapons correctly and also quote real life correctly. A designated marksman rifle, by definition, is supposed to be a rifle that engages targets at a range greater than a rifleman, but at a range less than a sniper. Generally, a designated marksman rifle will have a 20-round detachable magazine and will have semi-auto fire. That is the military definition of a designated marksman rifle. So with all that said, I'm I will now move on to suggestions of how to kind of correct this. So obviously the first fix that I would do is give security agents very late game perks for allowing them to equip heavy armor and a helmet to go with the riot shield. And perhaps if it's not too hard to balance or add to the game, perhaps make a perk that will allow security agents to use the M2HB, which is the 50 cal machine gun. And of course, to balance it, you would make it so it's only fireable in cover, because realistically, you would not try to hip fire a 50 cal machine gun. The next thing I would do is go through the list of weapons and start adding things to give more variety, and of course to give more of a difference and feel to your character. So I'll go through the categories. Machine guns. I would definitely add the M60E4. This is an older 7.62mm machine gun in use by the United States Army. Realistically, it would not be hard to implement that into the game, both in a real-life sense and a division sense. The M60E4 is common enough to be purchasable by most divisions, I would imagine. For marksman rifles, I've already mentioned to change that SCAR to the SSR to make it more realistic. And of course, there's other designated marksman rifles you can add if you want to add variety. If you want to, this is the list I have for the division. The M14 EBR is technically already in the game, so SR25 by Knights Armament, Heckler & Koch G3A3 DMR, Heckler & Koch 417, M39, Knights Armament M110, SVD-12, and Mark 12 Special Purpose Rifle. Perhaps at a later time they can add real sniper rifles. For that, the only examples I really have is the M24, which is the military 308 sniper. Its experimental variants, the XM 2010, which is the 300 Winchester Magnum, and perhaps the M82, which is your 50 BMG anti-material sniper rifle. For assault rifles, I would add the AUG Steyr, which is a 7.62, SIG SG 553R, which is a 7.62mm. I don't mind the old AK being in the game, but given that this is a very specialized department, I would like to see the old AK be replaced by the AK-12, which is chambered in all kinds of calibers, but you could definitely do 7.62mm for that. I would add the FAMAS G2, M16, Heckler & Koch 416, and Heckler & Koch G36. The reason for adding a lot of that is because some of those rifles towards the end of the list are burst fire, setting compatible. So it would be nice if they added both set automatic rifles and set burst fire rifles to give more variety and, of course, a difference in playstyle. Moving on to pistols. This one irks me quite a bit, the PX4. They have the Beretta PX4 Storm in the game. The reason it irks me is because this is more or less a civilian personal defense weapon, usually for concealed carry. The PX4 Storm is not paramilitary or military grade pistol. Furthermore, the PX4 Storm is a pistol that I am aware of in real life having jam issues. The PX4 Storm, out of all the concealed carry pistols that I'm aware of, is perhaps the most jam-ridden one. I hear nothing but jams and other issues with the PX4 Storm. So with that in mind, for story-wise, I would just remove the PX4 Storm, keep the M9, but add the Beretta 96A1, which is a 40 SW, the 6-hour P226 chambered in 357 SIG, For 45 ACP, you can choose between the two. I was thinking M1911 or the Mark 23 by Heckler & Koch. After that, the Herstal 57, and perhaps a Magnum Research Desert Eagle 50 Action Express. The pistol category, I think, is the most important to have variety in because of the riot shield skill. So I hope that they can add this variety in before the game is officially launched. Next is shotguns. I'm not 100% certain on this, but by the looks of it, they have the Remington 1100 hunting shotgun in the game. This is, again, a very specialized division. So the idea of having a Remington 1100 hunting shotgun does not really sound correct to me. If it's going to be a specialized division, I would more than likely expect them to be using something like the Remington 870 Tactical. The Remington 870 Tactical is in use by virtually every police department in the United States. Post-apocalyptic situations, you would generally find a Remington 870 more so than a Remington 1100. And that's again because you're in New York. You know, New York is crawling with police departments. It would not be hard to find a Remington 870 in New York in a post-apocalyptic situation. So I would definitely replace the Remington 1100 with a Remington 870 Tactical. And then you could take that further by adding either the Cheytac KSG or the UTAS UTS-15. The UTAS UTS-15 is a double-tubed 15-round 12-gauge pump-action shotgun. This would give a higher capacity shotgun to work with in the game. Now, they didn't have automatic shotguns in the game, really. I'm guessing that it's for balance purposes. Assuming they want to add automatic shotguns later on, I would definitely add either the AA-12 or the Sega 12. The final category is submachine guns. Now, this one is also an either-or for the 45 ACP. The UMP-45 or the Kriss submachine gun. The Kriss submachine gun is a very high-tech submachine gun, so I'm not entirely sure if story-wise the division would be able to acquire a submachine gun like that. So for that purpose, you could do the UMP-45 in place of that, because the UMP-45 is definitely an older design and would not be hard to get a hold of. For other SMGs, I would add the MP5A10, which is the 10mm model of the MP5, and the Herstal P90, which is your 5.7. So just like the Herstal 5.7 pistol, they both run 5.7s. The other thing too I would do is I would make it so both of those weapons have a built-in armor-piercing stat. That is what they are designed for in real life, is armor-piercing. The final weapon I can suggest to add, I'm not really sure if this could fit story-wise, but I'll throw it in there anyways. The AK-9 would be another thing to add. The AK-9, unlike the more modern AK-12 that I listed earlier, is a special purpose rifle. The AK-9 uses the 9x39mm rifle round. The AK-9 was specifically designed for special purpose missions and for armor penetration. The AK-9 is a bit of an odd one. Based on what I've read about it, it's not considered a true rifle. It's really in between a rifle and a submachine gun. So if you wanted to add the AK-9 as kind of like a semi-assault rifle and submachine gun, you could probably try that. And That's the entire list I have. If they can add any one of those, I think you would give more variety to the game and give players more of an option in choosing their play style. So that's all I have regarding the Division. I hope that the Division game hears this recording so they can correct this. Thanks for listening, everyone.